Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much for joining us once again. Just wait for a few more people to come through. Okay, perfect. Right. Well, I think we'll make a nice kind of prompt start. So yeah, thank you very much once again for joining us tonight. My name is Chris Freeman. I work as a product manager at Breedr, and I have two guests again with me tonight. So we've got Sarah Pick from AHDB Beef and Lamb, and we've got Charlie Beaty, third generation suckler farmer. So if Sarah and Charlie are there, I don't want to speak on your behalf. So Sarah and Charlie, do you want to just do some very quick introductions?
Yeah, thanks, Chris. Good evening, everybody. My name is Sarah Pick, and I work in the knowledge exchange team for AHDB Beef and Lamb, and it's lovely to be here this evening.
Okay. Charlie?
Sorry, my unmute button stopped working.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm Charlie. I'm a third generation on this farm here. Mixed farmer from Warwickshire, so we're beef, sheep, and arable. We're lambing at the moment, so I'll probably disappear in about half an hour, but hopefully we'll be back.
Perfect. Yeah. No. Yeah. Thanks very much, Charlie. I know it's a very busy time for you at the minute, so yeah. If Charlie suddenly disappears, it's a lambing emergency, so that's all good. Okay, perfect. So again, the agenda for tonight, obviously this is part of Breedr's new SucklerClub initiative, so I'll do a brief overview of what SucklerClub is, and then we're going to be covering two main topics this evening. We're going to be talking about weaning and PD testing. So obviously, suitable for autumn calving herds, but still applicable for those spring calving herds as well. So the content around that will involve some technical presentations from Sarah. I'll be doing a bit of a demo of the Breedr app for those particular periods and showing you what data can be caught. And then we'll bring Charlie back in if she's not outside lambing, just to have a bit of a discussion. Please ask questions throughout the evening, and we'll pick up those questions in the discussion, and we will try to be done within the hour. So first of all, just a very quick brief overview for those of you who are not fully aware of what Breedr does. So Breedr is coming up for its 2-year birthday. We were launched into the UK market of March 2020 with the aim of supporting livestock producers, help drive efficiencies and profitability by providing the tools to unlock and capture on-farm data. Now, that capture of data is at the core of what we do, and what that enables us to do is it enables us to provide 3 separate services. So as part of that triangle at the top on the performance analytics side, so we help you capture the data, we then interpret it, and we then tell you effectively what it is telling you. The second part of that is we have built an online trading platform. So again, what you are effectively doing when you're capturing data against animals is you are proving their worth. So whether that's vaccinations or daily live weight gain, you can then buy and sell animals with the visibility of all of that historic data. And then thirdly, we can now offer farmers cash flow options. So again, what you're doing when you're capturing that data on those animals is effectively you are increasing their value. That enables us to advance you payment on those animals. So we effectively buy those animals, but instead of giving you one big lump fee at the end, we can effectively trickle feed you money to help with cash flow. But so tonight, so that's Breedr in a nutshell. But tonight we're going to be focusing predominantly on that performance side of things, on the performance analytics. Obviously with the focus on breeding related issues. So SucklerClub, what is SucklerClub? So SucklerClub is a breeder-led initiative aiming to support all of our suckler farmers who are on Breedr. And the aim is to improve and provide them with a greater understanding and a slightly deeper insight into the overall fertility status of their herds. And the way we are effectively doing that is we are trying to bring the industry together. So Breedr is there to provide the tools, so that the app to capture that data. That's where we like to invite industry experts like Sarah to come and provide you with a bit of the background, the technical knowledge into what that data is effectively telling you, and how it can be used to improve your business. And then, of course, at the heart of all of this is our farmers itself. So again, that's why we want to engage with our farmers, and that's why Charlie is here with us tonight to share her experiences of how her suckler business is running. So how does SucklerClub work? So SucklerClub is effectively based off a breeding season, and the way we have created our breeding season is we've divided it up into 4 distinct periods, of which the farmers can join at any time. And what it does is we provide guidance for each of those distinct periods. So we tell you kind of tasks that you could be focusing on, what KPI targets you should be kind of striving to achieve. And then obviously from the breeder side is how you can capture that specific data and how you can interpret it. And then providing you with that technical background to help you understand how you can improve. So again, what are those 4 distinct breeding periods? Well, the first one, we start our breeding cycle at the service time. So when the bulls go in or when you're serving to AI, that's then followed by the PD testing. That is then the third one is obviously calving. And then we determine the weaning as kind of completing that entire breeding cycle. And as part of SucklerClub, we are providing, what resources we're providing. Well, this one right here, as you can see on the screen, is our breeding calendar. So this is based at for autumn calving herds. We also have the equivalent for spring calving. And when you sign up for Breedr and you state on your account setup that you are a suckler farmer, you will get one of these calendars that's an A2 size, so you can pin it up on your office wall. So you'll get one of them in the post. And then again, other resources obviously include webinars like tonight. Charlie, you can follow Charlie's journey on social media, and we're also writing technical blogs as well, which you can find links to on the website and by scanning these QR codes. So kind of without further ado, really, I'd like to introduce tonight. So obviously tonight, as you can see there on the highlighted calendar, is we're going to be focusing on the PD and the weaning phases of the breeding calendar. What we'll kind of do now is we'll move on to the second part of this evening. So the first part was talking about weaning, and now we're going to move on and discuss pregnancy diagnosis. So again, in the same format, Sarah, if I can hand over to you, and again, just keep prompting me for those slides.
It's a very sweet calf in that picture. It's lovely. Yeah, so thanks, Chris. I'm now going to chat through the key performance indicators we should be looking at around PDing. So Chris, if you won't mind just moving on the slide. So the KPIs that I'm going to discuss for the next 5 minutes or so are scanning positive percentage, and also the percentage of calvings in the first 3 weeks of the calving period. So I'll start with scanning first. Thanks, Chris. Okay, so hopefully most of you who are listening are already pregnancy diagnosing your cows and heifers, but for those of you who don't, it is a really useful management tool, and that's for a number of different reasons. So first of all, it provides a really good indication of when cows will be calving so that you can strategically feed them. You can also identify those difficult twin pregnancies that are a bit more riskier. You can, of course, cull barren cows after weaning, so that's a big cost. You don't have to keep them through the winter months. You can also detect bull infertility earlier on. I mean, I know it's not going to help you after the breeding season, but at least you can identify that there has been a problem and try and sort out the bull. And you can also choose to sell later calving cows. Now, there are two different ways of PDing. Both are mainly carried out by the vet, to be honest. So the first is manual palpation, and this can be carried out at least 8 weeks after the bull is taken out, but it is most successfully done after 5 months. And the second is ultrasound scanning. Now, this can be done sooner, so after about 6 weeks that the bull's been removed. And it provides a really accurate indication of pregnancy quite early on. And this, of course, helps with feed management and everything like that. Next slide, please, Chris. So, what we're hoping for is that greater than 96% of cows and heifers that went to the bull are in calf. Ideally, this needs to be within a 12-week breeding period for cows, and if possible, a 9-week breeding period for heifers. So it's no good achieving this if you're leaving the bulls in permanently, because this isn't really going to select for fertility in your females. So to achieve a good PD result, nutrition really is key. And it's true that preparation for bulling starts at the previous calving. And this is because the egg for the next pregnancy starts to develop in the last trimester of the previous pregnancy. So therefore, it's really important that cows are in the correct body condition score at calving, which is around 2.5 to 3. So it's extremely difficult to get cows to the correct body condition score for service after they have calved. And that's because they've got a lot going on. So, and that's particularly for those first calved heifers. So make sure they are in at least body condition score 2.5 before calving to ensure good PD results. So health will also have negative implications on conception rates. So make sure you're testing for things like BVD. A bull MOT is also really worthwhile completing before the start of the breeding season. And this will ensure that your bull is fit for work, and also gives you enough time that if he isn't, you can draft another bull in. And finally, my last piece of advice is around management during the breeding period. So studies have shown that 75% of embryonic loss occurs during the first 42 days after conception. And this is because it takes 42 days for the egg to implant. And therefore, any changes to management during this time can have a big impact on embryo survivability. So therefore, if you can, try and keep management consistent 6 weeks before the breeding season and 6 weeks after as well. And that will hopefully ensure that your conception rates are good and you're achieving that 96%. Next slide, please, Chris. And finally, I just wanted to touch on percentage calving in the first 3 weeks. Now, I know you aren't going to know this until after calving time, but some of you spring calvers might be busy now, so this might be relevant for you. So ideally, we want at least 65% of our cows and heifers calving in the first 3 weeks of the calving period. So why is this important? Well, it brings a number of benefits, including simpler management of cows and heifers. You also have an even batch of calves at weaning, so it makes management much easier. It also results in increased weaning weights, which is obviously what we want. And there's also less labour requirement over calving because you're getting it done and dusted quickly. Furthermore, you have fewer calf health problems. We all know the problems that come into play when you're mixing older animals with younger animals. So it's better that they are all the same age. And finally, poor performing cows can't hide. So you're always going to be able to identify those. And finally, you have improved fertility of the herd, which is really what we want. As discussed in the previous webinar a couple of weeks ago, fertility really is key to profitability in the suckler herd. And this is a really good way of identifying your fertile cows and also the ones that maybe should be heading down the road. Next slide, please, Chris. So thank you very much. That was just a whistle-stop tour. Again, any questions, please do send them in.
Yeah, perfect. Thank you very much once again. Yeah, again, please send in any questions, type them now while they're in your heads. We're going to move on now. I'm just going to do a quick demo of the PD related features of Breedr, but please send in questions for Sarah and Charlie, and we'll pick them up in a couple short minutes at the end of the session. So again, just like what Sarah just said, PD testing will be done normally by the vet, normally in the crush. So like I showed you earlier, we can log a PD test activity whilst in crush mode. So again, if you're clicking on that weigh icon on the bottom right hand corner, you're launching a crush session, and then you're selecting the cow that comes in. You might take the weight as well while she's there, and then from here, while the vet is doing his or her thing, you can click on the yellow plus icon in the middle of the screen, and what this will do. Oh, my slides have all gone funny. There we go. What this will do, so click on the yellow plus icon, and what this will do is this will open up this list of options here. And if at the very bottom you can see log activity, if you navigate through the activities menu and find PD test, once you open up that activity, in the very top right hand corner there's a little star icon. If you click that star icon, then that makes that activity a favorite, so that when you just click on the yellow plus icon from crush mode, then that activity will sit there at the top. So there and then I can click on PD test, and again the data input is very simple. It defaults to that day's date, and then it's just a matter of saying whether she is positive or negative. And if she's positive, then hopefully the vet will give you an indication of how many days in calf she already is. So if you type that in, then that will then generate, we as Breedr can then predict and give you an estimated due date. So once you've logged a positive PD test activity against an animal, what that then does is that then updates her pregnancy status. So you can see within my cows group, I've just PD tested all of these cows, and they've all got a little pregnant icon if they were all positive. And then, like I just said, from the home screen, what you've got here is you've got all these updates and alerts. Well, what it will do is it will create, for a positive PD test, it will then create an alert, based on the days since conception. And for the minute, we're just taking an average gestation length of 281 days. As time goes on, and Breedr will get more sophisticated, what we will be able to do, the more data we collect, is we will be able to not use the average gestation length, but we'll be able to use the actual gestation length of that individual cow. So again, that's the scope of where we can go. But we need more data coming into the system for us in order to calculate those kind of analytics. So when I click on, there we go. So when I click on, say I clicked on all updates and alerts, again, what I can do is I can filter. So I can filter on what alerts are coming up in the next 7 days or up to 30 days. And that just gives me a really good indication on the phone there and then, right, what animal is due, whether it's today or tomorrow or, in the next 7 days. So again, it just gives me an indication of, right, so, number 22381 there at the bottom, right, she's not due until the 20th, but, maybe I'll just start to keep my eye on her, just to see if there's any calving activity, she's bagging up or whatever. It just helps give a bit of a head start on these things. So that's obviously really beneficial at the time of calving, but at the time of PD testing, when you are logging those positive PD tests, you're putting in those days to conception, it's generating all of those alerts. What you can then do is you can go straight onto the web app, and you can go to the alerts report, filter your alerts by pregnancy due date, and effectively what that will give you there and then is a calving calendar. It's estimated, obviously, but it does give you an indication, and this could be 4 or 5 months before they're even due to calve. It gives you an indication of your calving spread. It will give you an indication already of the percent of cows that are going to be calving in the first 3 weeks. So you've already got however long it is, 4 or 5 months, or whenever you start PD testing, just to start the ball rolling with management. So really useful tool. Just gives you plenty of time to prepare. And then again, so sticking with the reports, so this is the pregnancy diagnosis metrics on the breeding KPI report that I showed you earlier. So again, all we're showing here really is the percent of cows that are scanned positive and negative. And then again, what it does is it plots that over time. So you can see whether you had a particularly good year or bad year for conception. And again, if you had one particularly bad year, then maybe you can think back to why that was, whether it was your nutrition, like Sarah was saying, pre-calving, whether something happened that year. It's just the power of data is quite strong. So it just helps you give those kind of insights. So that kind of concludes a bit of a demo, those kind of tools that you can get from around PD testing. So again, if Sarah and Charlie want to join me, and please, any other questions, any other queries, keep firing them through. I'm assuming Charlie has gone lambing, so just the two of us now. For now. Oh no, we do.
No, my buttons at the top of my screen are not playing ball.
Oh right, okay,
Sorry.
fine. Bit of a delay. That's all right, no problem. No, that's good. I'm glad you're here. Okay, cool. Well, again, I'll kind of open a bit of a discussion. We've got about kind of 5 to 7 minutes before we close. So, Charlie, I'll kind of come to you first. Obviously, like we know about your farming system this time of year, you've got lambing going on, you've got calving going on. I also know you've got a fairly, fair bit of arable work. The spring can, I almost found from my experience of working on an arable farm, that spring can almost be busier than summer sometimes, with spring drilling and fertilizer and spray and everything going on. So, I mean, is there any way that you manage your time kind of during this period? Is there, how do you do that? Or was it all just a bit kind of hands to the pump and take it day by day?
It completely depends on the weather. So, completely weather dependent. So like we're pretty lax with pregnancy diagnosing. We're not very routine with it. We tend to we're spring calving predominantly. We then calve about 20 in the autumn. But we've 85 suckler cows, and the majority of them are spring calving. Anything that hasn't calved by when we're looking to turn out, we will then PD. And if she's not in calf, then sometimes they get the benefit of the doubt if they're a younger cow, which I disagree with, but that's one to work on. And then otherwise they'll go. So we bulled our heifers last year, and we started with good intentions. So we had a chat about it, and I convinced them that we'll put the bull in for 6 weeks, and then anything that's in we'll bull more than we usually would. Anything that's not in calf goes. We've not lost anything, and then we'll PD. And the bull came out after about 10.5 weeks in the end. But the thought was there at the beginning, and then so we'll be PDing them soon. So they'll be it's a bit of a pain in the backside, but they'll be like summer calving really. So they'll be like late spring, early summer. So we will be PDing them, and then what isn't in calf will go. But other than that, we are pretty lax with the PDing, which is a bugbear of mine. And I would like to get on it a bit more, just so we could be a bit more ruthless. It is. It's hard, isn't it? It is, and I think it's very much that attitude of, well, it's worked, like, it's just another job to do, why bother, we might as well just calve what calves and then turn the rest out. And the other thing is we had trouble with a bull about 6-7 years ago, and with a low semen count, and a load of the cows weren't in calves, so that then our calving period went haywire, and so that was it's taken years to get that back really. So I think at the moment that it's just a kind of a case of just be glad that the calving period's fairly tight, like we're calving at the moment, so and I mean, at the moment, touch wood, they're coming thick and fast, and let's hope this continues for another couple of weeks and we'll be done with. So but it is very lax really. There's a lot of room for improvement.
That's good. And actually that kind of leads me just on to kind of asking Sarah, in terms of that calving period, so managing that calving period, I mean, obviously what Charlie is trying to do already with leaving the bull out for a certain time period and bring them out, that's probably going to be the best way of managing that calving period. Is by the time you get to PD testing, is it a little bit too late in terms of managing that calving period? Is there a way of, I don't know, can you sell some slightly later calving ones? Is there, I suppose what I'm saying is PD testing, that is it, that's what you get. Is there any way that you can manipulate or manage that calving period by that time or not?
So PDing is really a good management tool, and if you do it early enough, you will be able to tell when those cows are going to calve in the calving period. So if you were looking to try and cull some of your unproductive ones, then that would be a really good opportunity. Also in Charlie's case, you'd be able to identify those barren cows a bit earlier as well. So maybe as soon as they're weaned, kind of finish them and get them off the farm, which I think then is a really good opportunity to bring in a fertile heifer, and try and improve your fertility that way. I mean, obviously, once you've PD'd, it is too late to kind of do anything about it. You've still got, you can't do anything about the number of calves you're going to get. But what you can do is think, right, I've got this scanning result. What can I do next year to improve that. So whether that's looking back and having a look at nutrition or what body condition score they're in, or even if you had a problem with health. So that's always a good time. You know, you've got the vet there anyway who is pregnancy testing. So if you are disappointed with the result, then it's always a good opportunity to pick their brains as well. And try and get to the bottom of it. But yeah, I mean, you know, like Charlie says, some cows you might give them the benefit of the doubt, but that's why these systems such as Breedr are really useful, because then, well, the next year, if she misses again, you can think, oh, well, actually, last year she didn't have a calf either. So you can soon, yeah, those infertile cows unfortunately have no escaping then when you've got the data in front of you.
Yeah, definitely. I think for those of you who missed our the webinar we did last month on calving, two things that have kind of, well, one thing that came out of that webinar for me, and two things that have come out of this webinar so far tonight is, you know, things like culling, weaning, and PD testing, is they are, without maybe some of us don't really quite realize, incredibly powerful management tools. You know, they are things that are in our arsenal to help improve you know, the fertility and the productivity of our herds, and you know, maybe something that maybe should be kind of picked up on a little bit more. I don't know if anyone kind of wants to comment on that at all, kind of open that up to both of you.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, there's some really useful tips. It isn't kind of reinventing the wheel. It's just using what I call the different tools in the toolbox that you can pick out and choose. And it's just about using which ones suit your system to make sure you're always selecting for fertility, which will always have a big impact on profitability in the herd. I don't know, Charlie, if you want to add anything to that.
No, I don't know if I really can add anything to you, really, Sarah. I found the last webinar, like, even sat here as a panelist, it was fascinating, and it was nice to kind of reiterate kind of the things I think about with the maternal values, and you know, what you talked about with the Maternal Matters campaign and stuff like that. I found really, really helpful, and it gave me some backup then to take away and use. So yeah, I personally found that really helpful. So
good. And I know there's always, like, Breedr, they provide some really good information, don't they? And there's always AHDB resources and stuff as well for anybody that's interested.
Yeah, well, at the moment we're just trying to put as much information into the app as we can, just to try and get that started to use the KPIs as much as we can. So yeah, it's really nice to be building up that data bank. So
brilliant.
Perfect. Absolutely. And again, this is kind of the whole point of tonight, and our kind of SucklerClub initiative is to bring all of this together. So perfect. Well, I think just kind of one final thing. I'm just going to give. I'm going to kind of wrap it up now. We are amazingly on time. Again, for those who weren't at the calving webinar, we still had another half an hour to go because my timing skills weren't great. But yeah, nailed it tonight. That's good. So I just want to again just say a massive thank you to everyone who's kind of spent their evening with us tonight. Massive thank you to both Sarah and Charlie again for spending their evenings with us as well. But yeah, I just want to give just before we kind of sign off, I just want to give Sarah the opportunity. You know, Sarah and the team at AHDB do, you know, a lot of fantastic work for everyone. So I just want to give Sarah the opportunity just to kind of explain what they're doing in their movement for next month.
Thanks, Chris. Yeah, so hopefully by now everybody listening will be aware about the AHDB Shape the Future vote. So in April 2022, all levy payers will be able to vote on the things that your levy is spent on. So it's your opportunity to tell us what you think are the biggest challenges for your sector and how you would like your levy spending. So to be able to vote, you first need to register. Registration is open but closes at the end of this month, so you only have a couple of weeks left to register, and I know everybody's getting really busy with calving and lambing, so whilst it's in your mind, please do register, because if you don't register you won't be able to vote. So to register, please just go on the AHDB website, and there'll be a link there that takes you to the registration page. As a levy payer myself, I really do recommend you take the time to have your say, because after all, it is your levy. So it's really important you have a say on how it's spent. So please go on the website, register, or if not, please do contact anybody at AHDB and they will be able to do it for you. Thanks, Chris.
Perfect. No, that's great. My pleasure. Okay, well, yeah, no, thank you very much again to both Sarah and Charlie and everyone on the call, and I'll let you all back to enjoy the rest of your evenings, and yeah, thank you again once again.
Thank you.
Thanks all.